Hello and welcome back to the Dota 2 Asian Championship 2015 here on HeflaTV. This is going to be a best of two in the Asian qualifiers between NVIDIA Aces and TongFu. I'm Grandis V and I'll be joined by Mr. Blackadder for this series.
Good morning. Is it morning? I don't see sunlight. It's morning. Right, TongFu Aces. This is going to be a fun one. I've been looking forward to casting the new TongFu lineup. I haven't had much of a chance since they don't generally cross over into our SEA region casting, and we've seen what the Aces can do in previous events, and I believe even the joint Dota League, I want to say. And, well, Aces, they can play incredibly well. They've even got Secret on their side, who was standing in yesterday for, I want to say, who was he standing in for? He was standing in for IMG, I believe.
I think so.
And run with that thought, he played very well yesterday. I believe he handled the Viper in the mid. There was another hero he handled in the middle lane. I can't remember what it was now, but it was quite devastating.
Definitely.
But,
so it should be a pretty good series.
Yeah, the point being it'll be a good series, and I'll raise my cup of tea to it and hope we get a good one.
Definitely. Well, for now, we're going to see both teams taking their time with these first two bans. We're going to see the omnipresent Axe as well as Juggernaut being banned out in the first stage, as well as Broodmother taken out by TongFu. Outside of that, there's still plenty of powerhouses left inside the pool, but I don't think we're going to see anything out of the ordinary. The meta, at least for this tournament, seems to be pretty set in stone.
Yeah, I was about to say we're going to see an Axe, but first ban Axe. I don't think I have ever seen something like that before. I mean, it's just not a hero you consider first ban worthy, but I did see a way of phrasing it on Reddit that does make quite a bit of sense. It is basically an RP on a 10-second cooldown.
Yeah, it really is that powerful, though, and offers you disable through match community, as well as a hero that can fall back off in the jungle. In the current metagame, that's such a valuable asset to have on your side. It makes laning him so much easier, and you can get away with a lot more greedy lineups, which really seem to be thriving right now. Reserve time is actually dropping down to less than 30 seconds. Fox has disconnected from this game, but that shouldn't be affecting this draft at all. Looks like they are just taking their merry time.
Well, there's no rush. You remember what I said yesterday? The start of the draft is the hardest point, since from there on there are the most options. So these first bans are very important. They're going to choose to remove the Tidehunter, take away that that large range stun initiation with the Ravage, and look to pick up the Venge in exchange for TongFu's lineup. Now, the Venge, we've seen how powerful that can be. Good swaps, magic missile, very effective, but most important components, the negative armor, the aura, and of course the synergy potential with something like a Puck. Look for that guaranteed stun on the tether break.
It's not something that a lot of these teams have been utilizing, but definitely something that they should keep in mind and something that's really useful. IO Ember Spirit going to be the opener up for Aces, and TongFu going to combo up that Venge with the Troll Warlord. A lot of damage coming up from these two.
Indeed, and now, well, I would not be averse to some more negative armor, or of course the double Bash Lord draft from yesterday. I believe it was actually Secret handling a Troll Warlord as well as the Viper, if I recall correctly, since I remember him man-fighting something vicious. But Troll Warlord, as well as a Festus Void, I believe, was the order of business yesterday. Are we going to see something similar, I wonder?
It definitely could be a solid option, just having some really hard lockdown to keep in place the Ember Spirit and even the IO +1. And all around, just a pretty potent combination. If they really want to go deep down the Bastion minus armor train, one could always hope for a Slider, although I think that's a little bit wishful.
It may be a bit wishful, but we shall see. And we do get, of course, a Slark ban out from NVIDIA Aces, so it does show that they want to meter the enemy's aggression. They don't want them going too aggressive, and of course the Slark and Troll Warlord synergy is there with the Battle Trance and Essence Shift working quite nicely together. The faster the Slark hits, the faster you lose your stats.
Pretty much any on-attack effect synergizes so well with the Battle Trance, so we are going to see that banned out from them. The Ancient Apparition taken out by TongFu. More than anything, just a really potent support that's annoying to play up against, although I'm not sure if that was really what Aces had in mind, is something to be feared, and so they'll take that off of the table. Maybe they're setting up for something like a Necrovos or somebody that's very reliant on their healing. Juggernaut's usually the one to come to mind, but he's been banned out in the first stage.
Yeah, I was going to say Juggernaut would come to mind, but there is, of course, the Necrolite, as you mentioned. Other options for the healer, Chen could work. We could look for an Enchantress. The early push that those two can provide is quite nasty, specifically the Enchantress with a Troll Warlord, considering Impetus and Battle Trance does have interaction.
For sure, and that's something that they've left themselves open up to. But then again, it's also not something that they're constrained into doing. With Troll and Venge, you can go for a very aggressive early game push. Battle Trance allows you to transition to towers, and the extra damage from Aura is incredible from Vengeful Spirit. But then again, it also scales well pretty much throughout every stage of the game. So they're not really stuck in any specific style of play. Viper, the ban out from TongFu, maybe going to throw that Troll Lord towards the mid lane. Most matchups he can handle pretty effectively, but Viper, one of the ones that really gives him trouble.
OD would be the other one that can cause a troll issues, considering Ancient Prism Spam is very powerful, hell, against most mid-heroes, Viper being one of the exceptions and Razor the other. But I wouldn't be averse to seeing an OD in this one. We see it so rarely these days, and I used to see it all the damn time.
Yeah, he really has fallen off the face of the earth. For now, Aces will snag themselves up a Jakiro, and he is going to offer a little bit of attack speed slow, I suppose, up against TongFu. Just more than anything, a disruptive hero with Ice Path, Macropyre, some good zone control.
Yeah, and well, it will give us a nice bit of tower pushing capability as well, should they want to go with that route. But for the Aces, I'm still looking for a hero to really combo with this IO, since the Ember Spirit doesn't need the IO to give him that insane maneuverability that he can acquire fairly easily. But is it going to be a tiny, do you think, considering we already have some pushing capability from a Jakiro?
It very well could be. I think Aces are pretty much open to whatever they want to go with for that hour. As you kind of already alluded to, the Ember Spirit just doesn't cut it. He also doesn't need the extra attack speed from the overcharge either. The mana regeneration's useful, but for the most part, you're not going to pick up an IO to combo with the Ember Spirit. For now, TongFu are going to be sitting on their next support right now. A Scarlet Mage looks to be pretty high up on the chart for them, with the Vengeful Spirit already to set up for some Mystic Flares, as well as having just an instant disable up against the Ember Spirit.
Well, certainly this is a much slower paced draft than we've had the last few days, almost using all their reserve time already, and now we get the Bat Rider. So mid lane or off lane, the Bat Rider can be very effective, hell, even jungle. This is one of the things I love about the Bat. He can go pretty much anywhere he likes and gain some use, some value. But the Bat, considering what they're up against, a good hard lockdown on the Ember Spirit, and that's going to be necessary in this draft.
Definitely, and it's also very secure. With the Vengeful Spirit already picked up for TongFu, they're not going to have to deal with the Nether Swap snapping that lasso, and right now Aces don't really have much opportunity to hard counter this Bat Rider in any sense, so he should be doing just fine. For now, Aces going to stack up a Naga Siren. Really, this IO feels like it's an IO for the sake of just having that Wisp. Morphling now picked up by TongFu, and I'm actually quite interested to see the logic behind going for this style of draft. I think they could have gotten away with a different support.
I certainly agree on that as well, although there is a bit of flexibility here, considering we could see a core Jakiro and a support Naga. It's a lot less common in the SEA scene than, say, in Europe with a support Naga Siren, but it is doable. And I wouldn't be averse to it either. However, for the TongFu lineup, the Morphling I do very much like here. This is going to be quite the powerhouse lineup from the TongFu side, and they're going to be maintaining quite the heavy use out of Battle Trance, out of the Wave of Terror, and really Morphling can put out a stupid amount of damage in under those circumstances.
And even outside of it, if you take a look at the enemy team, how do they lock down this morph? There really isn't anything. Ice Path is their only hard stun. The chains and net don't really phase the Morphling at all. He'll be able to replicate out of that waveform and pretty much have his merry way with the entirety of Ace's team, and they can't really shore up that hole inside their lineup with just one pickup. It really does feel like this Morphling is going to be able to get pretty much out of control. The Lion Band from Aces tells, at least to me, that this Naga Siren is not going to be played as a support position, or at the very least, even if they lane it to start out as a support, they want to transition and get this Naga Siren to hard carry potential ASAP.
I'd be in agreement on that one. And to be honest, I would have very much liked to see a Lion played. Every now and then I keep hearing, yeah, Lion's seeing more popularity. I'm just seeing him get banned all the time.
For the most part, he's getting picked up a lot in the Western scene, and for here, at the very least, it's usually banned out if you plan on going for Naga. Aces, they'll pick up the puck for themselves, so they have a decent amount of control and mobility, but I'm still not really feeling the IO. It is going to be interesting to see how they utilize it, but I think they probably could have gotten more out of a different support, whether it be for the sustain. The global presence doesn't really feel necessary. You're going to get Boots of Travel on the Nagastar, and you have the remnants on Ember Spirit either way. Let's see how clutch the saves are going to be. I think really the thing that I'm going to look for from this IO is breaking Batrider lassos with short relocates.
Yeah, I'm certainly agreed on that, but just imagine this for a moment as we do get that Enigma for TongFu. Oh, hello, this is going to be some fun. But imagine this for a moment. Imagine we're 6 months down the line. Imagine that was not an IO, and think if that was a Pit Lord.
Okay. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. I don't think we really need to. But yeah, that would be scary either way with that split pushing potential. Either way, TongFu on the Radiant side, we are going to have IPC playing on the Enigma. Our other support is going to be Kaboo playing on the Vengeful Spirit, and leaving our cores to be Morphling played by Xingqiu on the safe lane. Mid lane is going to be UUU9 on the Troll Warlord, and off lane Batrider handled by Kian.
And of course, on the flip side of this coin, for the lineup of the aces, we've got Fox handling Nagasarin, we've got 82444 on the Puck. Behind him, we've got Misa handling the Ember Spirit, we've got Secret on the Wisp, and finally we've got KL7 on the Jakiro. So, looking for potentially a level 1 brawl right now, considering, oh, this could be bad for TongFu, considering Misa's going to come forward, he's going to go for the chain, then comes the rotation from the rest of the lineup. Tether's there to give that movement speed for the Naga, but can't get the net, unfortunately. Did she have the wrong point skill? Yeah, she skilled Riptide instead.
And also for the Morphling, he was holding his point, so even if they did bump into the Morph and are able to lock him down, simple waveform away should be able to keep him safe 99% of the time, but it might not be over yet as the Troll looking to stick onto a target. Morphling currently chained down, going to be forced to waveform over the side. They don't focus down, instead it's going to be the Wisp to give a first blood. Now they focus down into Kaboo. Kaboo dropping low, but not as low as Fox. Fox going to give his life in a 2-for-1 trade favoring TongFu for now, but now KL7 looking to be in a bit of a pickle as well. Slowed down by that sticky Mayfall. Coming out from the Batrider, 3 stacks up, and Jakiro just can't do anything. Turn rate impossibly slow for him, and he is going to be dropped in a 3-for-1 trade with the first blood as well.
On the upside, however, for Aces, they did get some pretty damn good warding throughout the enemy jungle to try to slow down this Enigma. On the downside, that is not the start that you want to be giving TongFu of all lineups. They have a very aggressive early game potential with the Troll Warlord and the Batrider. That can move into a very, very impossible mid game with the Black Hole as well to set things up. I mean, Black Hole plus Morphling, who's farmed up, Troll Warlord in mid game, maybe carrying the mechanism that'll leave the Enigma an early Blink Dagger. It's all manner of nasty, and you really don't want to be giving up 3 kills at the start of the game.
It definitely is. At this point, LPC is going to spot out that as large camps have been completely taken away from him, so his jungle rotation, at least in his jungle, is going to be heavily slowed down. He's also not going to be able to connect on the D-ward. D-warding this large camp is an absolute nightmare, and it's not without question that he's going to be able to get it. He also skilled Maleficus level 1 for that first fight, so he's going to just be pulling. Batrider up towards top, dropping incredibly well. One more auto attack from Io, of all things, is going to secure the first kill, as he just really wanted to snag off that kill on Misa. But in the end, his greed is going to give Aces a little bit of a bone.
Yeah, greed is feed. You have to meter out that want to kill with reason and logic. But the thing is, with the Aces lineup up on that top lane, they do have quite the kill potential, and they're going to have to be very careful on that bat. Even though you've got the Napalm and you've got the Firefly, you have to respect the damage potential of the Aces.
Definitely, and since the Batrider has an Enigma inside his jungle, as well as that jungle being heavily blocked, he's not going to have an easy time as falling back, as we usually see on this Batrider, so this Blink Dagger is also going to be heavily delayed. He'll sit on the 2-minute rune up towards top, and I suppose that'll give us an opportunity to look at the mid lane, but hold that thought as the DD picked up by the Puck, going to jaunt to his orb, looking for this kill on the Kaboo, but won't be able to find it, as the magic missile does fly through.
I often go on about early aggression, but I think this takes the cake. This is very aggressive from both teams so far, and it could set up to quite the fight a little further down the road. And you've got Kian on the Batrider. He's just continuing to try to get whatever he can from the enemy tri-lane, effectively. And he's going to do that by trying to pull the hard camp. It's going to give him some time. It'll let the creep wave equalize more towards his tower and cancel out the efforts, really, of Secret and his pull camp. But, of course, you do have to contest this, and Misa's going to rotate in immediately. It does take a little bit of damage for his efforts, but of course, Secret with his bottle just going to pretty much negate all of it.
Yeah, in the end, he feeds away the large creep as well as one of the small wildlings as well, and at the very least, he is getting some trade out of that exchange, getting some experience under tower, but not worth it really for the Batrider, since he isn't able to secure that pull for himself, and for more parts of this game, this Bat's not going to have a grand time at all. Mid lane matchup, Troll versus Naga is heavily favoring UU9, and as to be expected, Fox is going to be able to fall back on his jungle camps later on, but for now, this mid lane's the Troll's domain.
Yeah, and it will continue to be the Troll's domain at this rate, because whenever Fox wants to come forward to try to get some CS, he'll be heavily punished by the Whirling Axes, and that mischance, let alone the damage, is more than enough to force back Foxes, and if he gets caught by said Whirling Axes, then he could just switch to range and just slow him down, kill him off with the range attacks without having to dive the tower. It is the nice thing about the Troll Warlord, he is so flexible.
Yeah, definitely, and the supports on aces, although they're very potent in lane up against the Batrider, don't have the greatest ability to actually gank the Troll. Jakiro IO gank isn't necessarily super scary.
No, it isn't. And I'm just watching 8-2 just messing around with LPC. Enigma's just not having a fun game. He hasn't managed to deward the other hard camp. That's going to cause him problems. They did manage to get the first hard camp. However, I believe that was because the ward timed out, not because a sentry was deployed.
Yeah, I think so as well, and this observer ward really being very annoying for him. It is going to time out in a couple of minutes either way, but still, it's going to put a large dent in the potential farm that Enigma could have had, and also into the farm that the Batrider could have had. So even though they get theoretically one of the best starts you can get with getting first blood and 2 kills on top of it, TongFu haven't been able to carry that momentum, at the very least with their offlaner and jungle. But then again, their Troll and Morphling are having an absolute grand time.
Yeah, the Troll and Morphling are going to be the linchpins, really, for the early game, as I mentioned earlier. But now Zion is in quite a bit of trouble. He gets just caught, as well as the orbs from Secret, just burning everyone to pieces. There's just no way you can survive that kind of damage under an ice path.
Absolutely not. Well, for now, it has just been mostly the Batrider to go kill some in this top lane. Even after that first 2 kills, or 3 kills that he's involved in, getting the last hit for 2, he's just not having a good time. In a good game, at this point, Batrider is going to be nearing his level 6, and I'll have a couple of stacks up inside the jungle to farm up, but since LPC is there, that's just not going to be the case for him. The kill score is currently tied 3-3, heavily favoring aces, puck down towards bottom, going to eat away for him, not able to actually phase shift dodge that one out, but he'll be fine to back off after the fact.
It's the nice thing to have defensive you can be with a puck on a tri lane and still acquire good use of the orb just to pester and annoy the enemy lineup. But now you've got Troll Warlord just going toe-to-toe with Secret, and Secret just gets bash-lorded down. There is no way you can stand under a Troll's onslaught as a Wisp right now. Having 0 base armor is just not what you want to be doing.
If there is a situation inside the game that the IO can man-fight a Troll, you know the Troll's having a terrible time. Because really throughout the entirety of the game, IO needs to just stay away from that hero. And, well, that is going to be pretty much the state of the game right now. Puck is being zoned out a little bit more than the Batrider, but then again, the Puck hasn't died, so he has that going for him.
And I suppose the other good thing to mention here is rune control also is quite heavily favouring TongFu as well at the minute. They managed to get the bounty rune, the illusion rune, and this is just going to favour TongFu so heavily in the next few minutes. This kind of control of the map just sets up for ganks. Sure, you do have that Wisp to keep in mind, but Wisp still doesn't have that level 6, and with IO being still 2 levels away, Troll is going to have a bit of a field day if he wants to rotate and gang. Still, lack of the Naga Siren in the mid lane, for a few moments, that gets quite a bit of damage onto the tower with that illusion rune, and, well, Fox still has to respect the damage of the Troll. He can't just push this out like he would normally with a Naga Siren.
Yeah, definitely. It is going to hurt his ability to actually stack up the jungle and look to get up his farm, because he is completely pressured down by UU9, and this is really one of the strengths of having the Troll Warlord. In certain matchups, he can just go to town, down towards bottom. They're going to potentially look towards the puck. They have the replicate, and the Illusory Orb Jaunt is going to keep 8-2-4-4-4 completely safe under his tower. Still have yet to see level 6 coming out for this puck, not to be unexpected, but once he does have that, there is some opportunity to maybe help out the Naga Siren by ganking the Troll in mid.
Well, the sooner they gank the Troll, the better, because Troll is considered, in my mind, like an OD. In the mid lane, he is a bully. The only way you can stop him is by rotating multiple heroes to kill him out. If he's left to his own devices, your mid just won't have any space, and that is the case here. Every time Fox comes forward, Whirling Axe's response, a couple of auto attacks in range form, and Fox just wastes his health.
Yeah, more or less. Outside of kills here and there, mostly on the offlaners and during the rune contentions. Oh, and speaking of that, we are going to have UU9 eat an Ice Path, but with the lasso onto Fox, they're going to try to bring down this Naga Siren in return. UU9's taking a little bit too much, but Bass is down Secret. Not going to be enough damage, however. With one more auto attack for the Bat Rider, it's going to make it a 1-for-1 trade, but still favoring TongFu. Malefice going the way of Fox with a little bit more damage inside the Midnight Pulse. That's going to be the death of the Naga Siren, making things fairly even for both sides of the map.
Slight and very slight edge towards Aces there, considering they lost a support and a mid versus TongFu, where they lost a mid in the offlaner. So a little bit of experience advantage going the way of Aces, but nothing too major at this point in the game. However, while this is all going on, the Morphling, I'm going to have to mention, already has his treads. He's farming up quite nicely. What do you think we're going to be seeing out of Xingqiu on this morph? Are we going to see the Lincoln's shotgun, or are we just going to see conventional right-click menace? Top lane.
Not exactly sure. We are going to see a skirmish up in the top lane. Everybody currently sitting inside the Macropar as well as the Firefly. They will throw the wave, getting vision of all three of them, but don't get in range for any disables. With the Wisp Orbs tagging the Vengeful Spirit, I don't think they're going to be able to chase for much more.
No, that she wouldn't be able to get anything on her own anyway, and Xian was too low on health to really invest much time. However, while they've got that three-man little skirmish up on the top, UU and LPC are just shredding this mid tier 1. If this falls, it's going to be quite the advantage, but now comes the rotation. Ice Path there to try to stop something. They drop the Dream Coil. It catches on too. LPC, he's going for that mechanism, but he doesn't quite have it yet, so that's not going to be a factor in this fight, but the Flame Break does come in and just stop the aggression for the most part, except Enigma may go down here if he's not too careful. He was in range of Misa's Ember Guard, but just not being able to stay on target there. They don't really want to dive this TongFu lineup, and I can understand why. There is just too much potential for a turnaround fight with a Troll Warlord and with Xing. And I do still hear a Troll Warlord going to town, but I'll be damned if I can see where, just inside the jungle.
Yeah, Jakiro is going to secure that tower deny, so a little bit of economic damage done by Aces, but still this Naga Siren and Puck not really getting enough to keep up with their counterparts on the side of TongFu. And very crucial in that last fight is that everybody's able to survive for TongFu. It's going to be a 3,000 gold advantage and about the same in experience for them, and at this early portion of the game, that's very significant.
And we do have Morbid Mask pick up onto you, so part of me wonders what his choice is going to be here. I would think Helm of the Dominator. Surely. Go for the Helm of the Dominator, but Vladimir's would also be a fairly okay, I suppose. A good bit of team armor, lifesteal for himself in that case. It could work out, both are options there.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think it's okay even if he keeps it casual, though. I think more than anything, this is just to keep him sustained while he's farming, to open up the potential for a Roshan if TongFu win a fight.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the Troll. He can take Roshan incredibly early as level 6, especially when he gets that Morbid Mask. So, he's going to be having a fairly decent early game, and with him being top of the CS board, it shows. In terms of net worth as well, the only one rivaling him is the Ember Spirit, and he has been left mostly on his own up on this top lane, farming reasonably well. He's been part of a few kills onto the Bat Rider, but what we're looking for really is some form of defense on this bottom lane. In comes 8-2, but with that big Dream Coil, and now the entrance. Black Hole, however, catches Misa. It's going to be an instant turnaround, though, because the Enigma will drop in this one. Ice Path doesn't connect, unfortunately, and you've still got you going to town. They lose the Ember, and the Wisp will manage to get out with the end of his relocate, but still, a 1-for-1, an Enigma for an Ember, that's not what you want, and I hear the Bat. He's not going to let up his aggression at all, and manage to clean up the Puck as well.
More wins for TongFu. Even though this Enigma hasn't been able to farm as fast as he'd like to, it's still completely serviceable, and just the raw pushing power coming up from these Eidolons is really carrying TongFu through a decent portion of this game. Combined with the Troll, it's really putting the pressure onto this Naga Siren lineup, where the Ember Spirit also just isn't able to pick up enough momentum, especially after dying that time. This is probably the most crucial death we're going to see for quite a portion of this game. That Ember Spirit was really the saving grace for Aces.
Yeah, and the fact that he just dropped there being caught by LPC's Black Hole, that was a completely acceptable use of Black Hole. Ember coming in, catch him, that's going to cause oh so many problems. And hell, just one pick off on the Ember plus the tower, it can make or break this early game. And speaking of early game, a couple more early game items coming on. You did just finish up his Vladimir's, so a bit of team armor, good lifesteal for him. And from here on in, he's probably going to opt for maybe the drum, could go for a BKB straight away, however.
Yeah, definitely. The momentum is working in the favor of TongFu, and the Radiance feels like it's going to be ever so far away for Aces. Fox is early game dying 2 times, as well as just not farming particularly well inside his lane up against the Troll has really been slowed down. It's going to be a long road for recovery in favor of Aces, and during that time they're going to be pressured hard. It is going to be an Ethereal Blade rush for ZinQ as he has the Ghost Scepter completed inside the Courier.
Well, it seems we're going to be getting the shotgun. And shotgun up against Ace's lineup, I do thoroughly agree with. Just the lower health, squishier heroes. There's no strength hero on the Ace's lineup. They are all susceptible to the shotgun blast. It's going to be quite the pickup when that comes online. But more importantly, we get ourselves a blink dagger for Kian. And with a blink dagger, well, Batrider, he only needs a force now, and then everything else after that is just pure bonus, for lack of a better word. But to just demonstrate how big an early game TongFu have had, take a look at the net worth graph for a moment. That's a 5k net worth lead, and that's just gradually incrementing over the course of this game. And of course, the flip side of that coin, to take a look at the experience as well. These fights have been going fairly well for TongFu, and it just shows this gradual lead is what they need to maintain.
Yeah, and they should be able to do so. We'll have to see where this first gank of the Batrider's Blink Dagger is going to land, and if it actually gets them a kill. It should be expected by Aces that the Batrider has his Blink Dagger being 3-3-3 and being off of the map for quite some time as he farms up, so I don't think this is going to come as a surprise to them, but then again, it's still really potent. Even if you know the Batrider has a Blink, getting caught off guard is another thing entirely.
Yeah, I'd completely agree to that. And now we do have that mechanism complete for the Enigma as well. So all of these big early game items are pretty much there for TongFu. They've got the Blink Dagger, they've got the mech, they've got a Vladimir's. On top of all of it, they've got the urn. These big early incremental items are just so powerful for a lineup like TongFu's. They have such early game potential and aggression. And with this smoke, hell, do they have Black Hole? Yes, they do. They could go very aggressive onto this tier 1 on the top lane. If they catch Misa, Secret, and KL7 off guard, this could hurt so heavily. And again, they may even find 82, but no, he's going to blink out, doesn't really want to risk it. Blink daggers are able for both sides of the map after all, but now in comes the relocate. This is not what you want. There's the Black Hole, does catch Misa again, only Misa though, but that's going to be more than enough. But it gets cancelled early. I don't know where, by the Song of the Siren. Still, you've got the magic missile coming in. Ice Path's going to connect to LPC. They can't manage to bring down the Ember, and they'll get out with the relocate. So many ults expended there for only 1 kill on the Enigma. Not quite worth it, but you'll get the Jakiro to at least equal things up. Secret, however, going to come back in, try to fight Cab off, but there's the shotgun. Holy hell, not a chance to survive that, and a double kill for you as well.
And a pretty good one at that. They'll transition us into a tier 1 tower even after a very sketchy start to that fight. Black Hole getting cancelled very early on during its channeling. They're not able to focus down anybody, so that is pretty much taken completely off the table, as well as the Batrider Lasso. The song usage was really darn good. They desperately needed that reset button inside that last fight, but they just aren't able to clean anything up. Right now, Naga Siren doesn't really offer much outside of the song. Wasn't able to do much damage, and in all honesty, neither is the Ember Spirit. The only thing they lose is that Enigma, and he probably had already done his share of that team fight.
He did get the Midnight Pulse down. He'd held the Ember for a few moments while his team tried to do some damage, but ultimately, I don't think the Enigma was that big a factor in that fight. I personally feel it was more down to the Troll Wall and his positioning in that case, but at least being able to get a kill onto the Jakiro minimum was acceptable. But relocate with that bottom, they're going to go straight back onto LPC. This is how you deal with Enigma. You do not give him breathing room.
Well, for now, he isn't going to get that. They'll drop the Troll ulti. That's just to farm up some Ancients. However, a clean pickoff for Aces, and they need to consistently use that. A decent usage of the relocate. Even though they don't have the common combos with the IO, it's still really nice to have that global ganking pressure set up by a net from the Naga Siren. Easy pickings onto the Enigma. For now, it looks like Enigma's going to go into power treads, but maybe even considers going for a Midas this game, just to get into some bigger ticket items later on in the line.
Well, a Midas at this point in the game, you could consider it a recovery in some senses of the word, but I don't think that's really the right call. Considering how expensive a Midas is, he can buy his Blink Dagger for that amount of money.
Fair enough. It's
And
probably
what would you
just
prefer
gonna be
have?
assets.
What would you prefer have, a Blink Dagger or a Midas on the Enigma?
Yeah, I think the bigger question is whether he'd prefer to have a BKB and a Blink Dagger in 20 minutes, or a Midas or a Blink now.
I suppose that's a good way to look at it. That we do have a Blade Mail online for Misa, so he wants to try to brawl these fights up, but realizes the enemy have so much front-loaded damage, the Blade Mail may be the easier item to go with in the short run. But this does have that detriment of not really helping Misa accomplish what he wants to be doing. He wants to be at the side of these fights with the Sleight of Fist just cleaving. He needs a Battle Fury, at least one.
In a sense, it's kind of like a poor man's BKB, since it is going to persuade TongFu to not dump as many spells into him, but he just doesn't have the HP to really make this work, and Blade Mail's not going to help you here. We get lassoed. Relocate coming out from the Aya is going to snap that lasso, and that is going to save the Ember Spirit. Kind of what I was talking about a little bit earlier. He'll be able to maintain his position inside this fight. He'll get some chains thrown out, and now jump in by the puck, going to be able to get the Dream Coil of Silence onto 4. But will they be able to follow up and kill anybody? The Mechanism flies out to get an Ice Path onto 4 as well with the Macro Power. Black Hole committed just onto Misa, going to be cancelled again by the Song. Macro Power not doing any damage during this duration. Now they're going to look to disengage. Dual Breath going to connect onto the Enigma. That's going to be the end of his life, but now they start focusing down Fox with the Troll. Silence again coming out from the puck, going to do a decent chunk of damage. Everybody from TongFu is low. They lose their Naga Siren. Let's see how much more they're going to drop. That is going to be the Troll going down, but Gin is cleaning house. But then again, not enough. 3 for 3 as he dies uphill. I'm lagging out due to Perfect World Service, so things are really difficult. But either way, we have another waveform flying over the top with some heal coming out from the Wisp. It is Gin going for a little bit of an overextension, and now with the Vengeful Spirit dying as well, this might be a full 5-man wipe. He's going to be able to Strength Morph, and that's going to keep this Morphling safe, although only just.
Indeed, and off the back of that, 4 for 3, slightly in favour of Aces. Of course, only the support's still standing, so not getting any of that all-important gold on the cores is going to hurt, but on the flip side of the coin, we're seeing perfect counters coming out of Aces. Okay, you initiate with Batrider, relocate, counter 1. You initiate with Black Hole, Song of the Siren, counter 2. LPC, he has to catch the Naga within the Black Hole as well as the Ember, and that is not an easy feat.
Yeah, it honestly just shouldn't be possible with Ace's positioning, and they have been playing these fights very well, but it's still problematic when you look at the farm on the Ember and Naga Siren. Even though that fight looks like it's okay, the Naga Siren is way too early on to actually benefit from the gold, and she does have the relic completed, but really at this point you desperately need that Radiance to start accelerating your farm, and the Ember Spirit also not really benefiting very much. A lot of that is going to be put into the pockets of the Jakiro working towards a Yule Scepter and the Aya, who currently hasn't decided which item to go for. TongFu going to switch into the Roche Pit with the Song on cooldown for 15 seconds. They might have that available if they decide to contest, but for now Aces aren't in the greatest of positions to actually bring their full 5-man unit.
Indeed, and we could have a bit of a Roche Pit skirmish here. Do we have the potential to blink in? We've got the Ember Remnants. He jumps forward, trying to get what he can, does a good Sleight of Fist across everyone, but the Aegis did go down, and it is picked up by the Morphling, so that's going to at least give TongFu a good amount of advantage here, and you've got Kiam just looking for what he can find on that Batrider. A blink forward, they could catch him, but he doesn't have that lasso, unfortunately, so they're just having to slow Misa down. He's trying to escape with his Remnants, but now in comes the Dream Coil. That's on 4. That's going to buy them some time, but he still wants to hunt. He's chasing whatever he can find. He finds 8-2, but can't get the bash on him, or can he? No, doesn't get the last hit. However, now in comes Kian. Song of the Siren, going to buy some time, however. It's time to reset. Slow it down, boys. Foxes, can he set up for a fight here? No, it's just a retreat. They can't really afford to fight like that, but at least what are TongFu's response to this? If the enemy want to run away, we'll help ourselves to their towers. That pushing power is so scary coming out of the TongFu lineup.
At the very least, they get a tier 1 tower up top taken by the Ember Spirit, but TongFu are going to have none of this. They're going to go straight up high ground. They will have a Black Hole in 20 seconds where there's not going to be a Song available, and they have a double life onto the Morphling and a shotgun, so he is able to morph very heavily into the agility, although right now he is looking not very healthy, so they're going to pull back. Mechanism now on cooldown.
Still, they can reset, they can go again. They're healthy enough to high ground, especially considering, I believe, yeah, they've still got an Urn Charge remaining for Xingqiu. So could look to push this onto that tier 3. They do have that pushing power, and the cleave just isn't there to clear these waves right now. However, the Dream Coil, not going to be there. The silence is, it does force the Aegis to pop. However, Morphling will be back up in a few seconds. Still, waveform out, and it's just a case they'll back up, they'll reset, they're forcing the enemy to waste their spells and their time. They're not farming while they're defending this tier 3. Just very good pressure coming out of TongFu.
Yeah, I think they probably could have just afforded to swing down towards the tier 2 tower and take that one instead, just going for the safer play. If they're able to find the initiation with Black Hole there, things could have gone very sour for Aces since they wouldn't have the song available, but now they've kind of weathered the storm. They do sustain some major tier 3 tower damage, now down to below half HP, but still TongFu don't take the major objective. Once the Aegis is down, it's a lot less attractive for them to stick around.
And we're still looking for, there's the power treads, no Midas in this game. We're still looking for the Blink Dagger on LPC though. Once we get that Blink Dagger, really it all comes up spades for TongFu. However, they lose their bat. How do they lose their bat? I think relocate gank, yeah. And they'll lose a tier 1 as well as that. So get a kill, get an objective, certainly going to help out the Aces lineup. And if we take a look at the gold graphs quite quick for a second, it's about a 7,000 gold lead for TongFu. Still recoverable completely for Aces, don't get me wrong. Same for Experience, that's 6,000. So still a fairly close game. TongFu, they could still snowball this one if they can crack a tier 3 or a set of racks. Any base objective on that high ground will give them such an advantage at this point. A 7,000 gold lead plus a set of racks is more along the lines of a 9 to 10k gold lead, just because of the gold drained away from super creeps as well as the constant pressure to deal with.
Definitely. Aces right now, they have stemmed the bleeding, however, once the Radiance came out from the Naga Siren, now the boots to travel up, and they've found themselves a couple of clean pickoffs. That's going to secure yourself the IO mechanism as well. And they're getting these key items. And after that Blade Mail, we also have Ember Spirit starting to pull up a decent sum of gold too. TongFu, they need to keep up this pressure. If they let up even for an instant, that's going to be the best way that Aces can come back into this game and be the ones exerting the offensive pressure themselves.
I do agree, they need to keep up the relentless aggression, but it seems we're going to be setting up for a fight here. The Ember Guard comes up, Misa coming forward, trying to just get some damage going. Blade Mail to try to deter any kind of follow-up, and, well, you can't really grab Misa when the Wisp is right behind him, so a blink forward to try to scare them from Zion. But more importantly, we do have... did I just see Radiance burn? Yeah, there is a Radiance on the Naga, so that's a more important item to mention. I didn't see that until just now, but still a replicated one. Yeah, a replicated Naga Siren, however, does put that in favor of TongFu as well, so it could be quite nasty to deal with. Another tier 2 falls. Are we going to see that rotation? No, we're going to see the defensive mid. Keep Foxes away. No one likes the Naga ratting their towers. However, there we go. No aggression here. Just no chance for Fox to get anything.
No. Naga Siren has that instant reset button of the song in TP. It'll be Fox not missing a beat. It'll go down towards bottom, summon those illusions, farm up the jungle with 2 of them, send one of them down the lane. And the Naga's still able to keep up this farm. And at this point, Fox has kind of gotten through the hardest part of playing a Naga Siren, which is that early laning stage, and has caught back up admirably, even after dying twice in the early portions of this game. Aces, it feels like they're starting to stall things out enough to really get back into it. We have the Warfling with this shotgun, but it really hasn't felt very impactful. I haven't seen anybody get 100 to 0'd by his full combination, and he really needs a little bit more on top of this to be a super scary threat. Sure, TongFu are able to take the outer tier towers very easily, as well as Roshan, but that control is starting to lax.
Yeah, they need to ramp up the aggression again. Any time that they're not really pushing lanes and forcing the Aces lineup on the defensive is time where Aces are farming and getting back into this one. And late game, it's a hard one to call. Troll will fall off in some ways. The Morphling, not so much, but you're up against a Naga and an Ember. Late game, I think Aces have this, and TongFu, I think time is the fire in which they will burn.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a fair analogy. The Enigma's black holes also aren't going to be very reliable. There's plenty of ways that Aces have to cancel it. And so usually that trump card isn't going to be as potent. That Radiance Burn, grabbed up by those Replicate Illusions, is definitely something significant to keep in mind when you're talking about late game. Those Replicate Illusions do quite a number. And even now, that's super scary.
Yes, it is, and the Naga will come into her own. If she gets a heart, it's going to be also painful to deal with those illusions. But I don't know. Part of me with the Naga, when I see this kind of build with a split push style, keep the enemy on the back foot, I think, yeah, great. This tactically is a brilliant thing, but you know what my fondest memory of this kind of thing is?
What is it?
At TI2, when this would happen, all of the boos from the crowd.
Of course, Naga Siren is definitely one of those type of heroes, but at the very least it is a little bit more few and far between, I suppose, when we actually get to see the full-on Naga Siren games. When they do go that flavor. It is going to be BKB Rush for the Enigma. It seems he's picked up the Mithril Hammer just trying to buy the most expensive component, even though he's not actually going to make any use of it. Still, TongFu haven't been able to take any major objectives. What are they really waiting for? Manta and Morphling, I suppose. But outside of that, the big items just really aren't there.
Either a Manta or Morphling, so the shotgun does a bit more damage, or they... no, they've already got the BKB on Troll. I suppose that's all they're working for, unless they want the BKB onto LPC. If they can get the BKB onto that Enigma, then they can get a more reliable black hole off, and that can make or break a team fight.
Well, currently smoked up TongFu looking to find engagement, but it doesn't look like they're close enough to immediately find anybody. Closest one is the Jakiro, and honestly that's not the target that they want to find, but it's a target that they'll settle for if they bump into him. Firefly already activated by the Batrider, looking to see where they land. Smoke has yet to pop, and for now it's just some words. They'll bump into Fox, however, it is going to pop. That is the real Naga Siren in the song. Going to bail them out. Instant TP by the Naga, and it looks like KL7 also going to be able to potentially get out. No, never mind. He doesn't have a TP scroll, and he's going to be obliterated. They still have to pay the Piper for that, but I suppose it's good. Aces only lose the support after a 4-man rotation.
Yeah, just being able to pick off the Jakiro, I suppose, as a collateral. They'd also put the Song of the Siren on cooldown. Of course, it's going to be available again in 95 seconds. It's a level 2 song, so it's a moderate cooldown.
Yeah, once you get that level 16, things start to become really ridiculous, and it's hardly ever where you're not going to have that up. Roshan still has yet to respawn, and the Remnant, constantly kept inside the pit by the Ember Spirit, means that both sides are going to know when it's up.
And it'll respawn in just under 15 seconds, so we're just over 15 seconds. But if we can get a Roshan on TongFu's side, then I believe we might be looking for that tier 3 push that we were hoping for. Because right now, well, we can see on the graph, you've got that farming potential going. The graph is sort of petering out. It's hanging around 7.5k all the time. Yeah. This is just that farming power of the Naga starting to come to fruition.
It really is. Even though the experience advantage is vastly in the favor of TongFu as well, everybody on the side of Aces has their level 11 ultimates, and levels are starting to mean a little bit less, although it's still an advantage for sure. TongFu, they have kind of just been sitting still in the water for quite a long time, allowing the space for the Naga and the Ember. Ember's item still has yet to be shown, and honestly, the farming speed on Misa, really has been slowed down because he has Naga Siren as well on his team. If you take a look at his CS, it's pretty darn abysmal.
Well, he's trying to farm his side of the jungle and his side of the field, while you've got the Naga Siren coming out of Fox, who's always on the enemy side of the map, trying to take away the enemy jungle, for example. But right now, I believe it's Roshan time, and TongFu should find themselves a very easy opening here.
Yeah, they definitely should. Roshan's just taken so quickly by their team. Once Troll starts hammering away at it, they will be able to just knock him down in a heartbeat. They don't even drop the Troll ultimate for this to make things a little bit more elusive, and the elusive reward drops through, but way too slow. As that's going to be your double life for the Morphling, and now I think TongFu really do need to push high ground with this Aegis.
Yeah, I think it's time they turned up the aggression once more and start forcing fights again. Now we've got the important items. We've got that BKB, we've got the Aegis. However, the flip side of the coin, we do not have a Manta for the Naga. Still, she's starting to tank up. She could still use that heart, importantly, but things are starting to get that little bit more scary for TongFu. And the later this goes, the bigger that Naga will become.
Yeah. I think if they don't take a tier 3 tower at the very least with this Aegis, things are going to start getting really hairy for them. Not to say that it's impossible, but I think they can't sit back and farm like that I've been doing for the last 10 minutes. They have the BKB now up for the Enigma as well. That has yet to fly out. And they have pretty much everything at their disposal. This is one of the times where they're going to peak highest relative to the enemy team, I think.
I'm still looking for the all-important Blink Dagger. You know me, I love Blink Dagger on Enigma, but we're just not seeing it in the tournament so far. Now we get the Blink in from Kian. He manages to get Secret. That's pretty huge. In come the Silence, however, from that part. That's going to buy more than enough time. Still Black Hole. Oh, it's a PGG. What the hell is that doing there?
Well, he popped a BKB and really wanted to use it, I suppose. Swap coming out for the bench, going to get the Morphling deeper into this fight. Chains flying through, going to lock down the troll, and right now TongFu just can't fight very effectively. Well, hold that, they blow up the puck with the shotgun combination. John to the orb, or rather to the remnant coming out from Misa is going to get him enough distance to keep himself safe. 2 kills going the way of TongFu. If they had their black hole still, things could be a lot better.
Yes, it could be, and they're still having to deal with all of these pesky illusions, just pushing the wave back. I've got to admit, the micro coming out of Fox on that Naga Siren is just causing all number of problems.
It definitely is. Although they are going to start healing back up. They have a replicate of the Troll Warlord. A little bit unfortunate. I think it might have been better for them to wait before they create that replicate to get one of the Naga. Yule Scepter going to be thrown onto this replicate, as they should be able to focus it down. And even though it looks really awkward for them to do so, it's very important to deny that away from the Morphling.
Yeah, keeping the replica down is such an important thing. Of course, it can be deceptively tanky at times. I've seen even in pro games, people cast big ultimates on replicates.
Oh, definitely. It takes quite a lot of damage. In fact, is it 100%? Yeah, it does. It really is hard to tell, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Either way, it's going to be TongFu repelled for now as Aces defend high ground, even though it costs them a couple of heroes. Naga Siren's able to maintain the farm throughout all of that, and now they look for a smoke. Radiance turned off by the Naga Siren to make sure that they don't actually give this one up. Though I don't think that TongFu are privy to this fact, but even if they were, it doesn't really matter since they're on the other side of the map, and it doesn't look like this is going to net them any fruits.
And we're still looking for that all-important tier 3 push that we want to be seeing. Oh, they could lose a Morphling if they're not careful. He's hanging around on such a low health pool at the minute. This could cost them the Aegis, and that might just deter them from pushing high ground for the time it takes for Naga to come online fully. And then Naga still has 1,600 gold. We're just looking for a Reaver. He's halfway there.
Well, big pickups are still coming out for TongFu as well. We have the full Scotty up for the Morphling. It looks like they're just going to heal up and rinse and repeat. Go for that high ground push. They still have a minute and 40 seconds of the Aegis, but is that going to be enough to push high ground? I'm not sure. They'd need boots of travel on everybody to do it now.
On the positive side here, though, we do now have a Skadi as well as a Manta and an E-Blade. That shotgun is starting to use incendiary shells.
Yeah, it really does do quite a number. They're going to find lasso initiation. That's Fox proper. They'll magic missile him up, focus him down. Not a chance for Naga to get off that Sarn as they obliterate him. Dominating spree, and this is the opening they really wanted to go into. There is buyback on the Naga Siren, mind you, but still, even if they could force that out, it would be a huge win.
It would be. It would just slow down that heart so heavily. And were they just waiting on getting this Skadi, Zing is going to be pretty much unkillable at this point.
Yeah, right now the damage just isn't there from Aces. They might be able to just Yules him up in the air, keep him out of the fight for a little bit, but really he's going to be able to focus down whoever he wants. Currently, he's fully agility morphed and still sitting on 1700 HP, which is well more than what the Naga Siren has. So there's...
It's quite the opening here for TongFu. I think I'll agree on that one. With all that agility morph on Zing, anyone comes forward, they risk getting shotgun. They'll lose the tier 3. They're going to start getting some good damage onto that melee Rax. If that falls, that's going to be huge. They need to deal with this Morphling, and he is just going to town.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to lose it. The Aegis is going to expire any second now, but that doesn't really seem to matter. And there it goes. It could have been at a better timing. Dreamcool on the way out, catches 3, but where's the follow-up onto these 3 heroes? It doesn't look like they're going to fall. Ice Path going to catch out 2 of them. But then again, TongFu, they've gotten the objective, and this is what they really need to do with this Aegis, and they've accomplished the mission. Lasso going to pull back 1. That's going to be Misa obliterated. Black hole now back off of cooldown, catching out 2. They shotgun down 1 on the sidelines. That's going to be everybody down except for the Naga Siren getting bashed down. Not enough bashes, however, from the Troll as Fox is able to run away. That duration of the BKB just not enough, but now going forward with the waveform, they'll drop an adaptive strike, but not enough to chase down Fox, which is really the big fish, and what Aces have to fall back on if they want a chance to get back in this game. Things are looking grim, though.
Things are looking very grim. They're going to lose that set of mid-racks. Now they're going to be losing their bottom racks. This is the power of the troll. Your buildings mean nothing to the troll. The battle trance will tear through everything. Top lane as well. They're losing their final tier 3. There is only one buyback and it's on the puck. By the time the rest of the team are alive, they're going to have no buildings at all. It's going to be full megas, and I think that's going to be game 1 going the way of TongFu.
Yeah, there really isn't anything they can do at this point, although it's really tempting to say that maybe Naga Siren can hold out against Megas. Not a Naga Siren that isn't absolutely capped, and not against a Morphling and Troll that are this stacked. I think at this point, it's all formalities. Let's see, they're going to be able to blow up the bat, which I suppose is nice, but still, not
that cleave power. That cleave power is just a little bit too late. They will lose the Morphling in the base, however, and that's a slight overestimation of his power. But in comes the BKB. He doesn't have a black hole on LPC. And just getting cleaved to pieces. 8-2-4-4-4, just going to town as well. Silencers everywhere. If they can bring down Kabu, that's going to help out, certainly. But they'd still have to respect you and his damage. TP out by LPC. Is he going to escape? Yes, he is. Everyone wants to get the hell out of dodge. But in comes the steering chains. That's going to lock down you for that time it takes to TP out. And there's not going to be any escape. It's a 2-for-4 trade in favor of the aces, but while this is going on, their base is being sieged, the megas are on the way.
Even though it's tempting to call that a win, what they needed is nothing less than the entire TongFu team dying, buying back, and then they have to win the next fight after that. And even then, I'm really tempted to say that they won't be able to get more than 1 barracks, if even that, since the tier 2 towers are still standing. And the power of Mega Creeps is just a little bit too much. It would require major throws from TongFu. Even though it looks really bad that they lose their Morphling there, that is your buyback down on the Nagas. So if they do that again, exactly the same way, they'll pretty much have won the game.
I suppose they're going to give this a hell of a try, considering after the Mega Creeps, after that last skirmish, our puck here did finish up the Aghanim Scepter. So they are going to give this a shot. However, this means KL7 is pretty much on permanent defense duty, and that's not really where you want your Jakiro. He can bring so much to the table with the Liquid Fire, with the Ice Buff, hell, with Macropire, and these Mega Creeps will tear him a new one, so he may need help on occasion. I mean, they are putting all of their eggs in Fox's basket. If Fox dies even once, this game is done.
Yeah, look at Misa fighting up against these Mega Creeps. He's almost going to die to them. I mean, it's obviously calculated that he's not going to, but still, that is a very poor omen. Ember Spirit, if he has all of the items, can hold out indefinitely against creeps, but 1 Battle Fury and 1 Crystallis just doesn't cut it. They're going to smoke, and actually use 2 smokes for this one, as a desperate last-ditch effort to try to get out of their base and try to find a pick-off. And Kabu might be giving that one towards their way. They're going to jump down to the low ground. They get the chains as well as the silence from the puck. But this Venge is a little too tanky. They will be able to bring her down first, but now it's Black Hole going to be committed. They catch out pretty much everybody as Troll just goes from one to the next. It's going to be Naga Siren down, and if it was just formalities from now, it is actually going to be officially called. GG is going to be the end of the first game.
However, let's see what they can do in game number 2. TongFu up against Aces round 2. I'm going to be with you guys in a moment.
Definitely. We'll be back up there with game number 2 of Aces versus TongFu after a short break. Shouldn't be too long.